So it's been a long time, but I finally own a pair. Hey, what's good guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. I'm so happy right now. You don't even know, and I know that you think that these are ugly, so.
I feel I was very kind.
I'm just saying, I know that you think these are ugly.
I'm just saying I was very kind in my thoughts on them.
Well, oops, I fumbled them. But anyways, this is my first time owning a pair of these. They have retroed once before. I think it was in the 2015, 16 time frame. I honestly can't remember. I do remember them being on shelves and I remember them all going to clearance. But this is the first time that they're coming back truer to OG form, if you will, even though not really, but still kind of. And I'll get into that in just a second. For those of you guys that don't know what this shoe is, this is the Reebok ES22, also known as Emmitt Smith's signature trainer. So back in the day, this was right around 1996 and 1997. Emmitt Smith was a big ticket item, especially in football. I'm not a football guy, so I'm not gonna go over his history or anything or pretend like I know anything about it, because I don't. But I do remember his shoes, and these things were dope. Not only that, but they were like stupid hot on basketball courts back in the day. Like if you did not have a pair of Reebok Questions or a pair of Pennies or Jordans or Pippins or whatever, even though they didn't have Pippins yet, but you know what I'm saying. There was the Air More Up Tempo, but that's not Pippin shoe. But anyways, this is Emmitt Smith's signature shoe. Again, I saw these many a times on the black top, even though this is actually a signature trainer or cross trainer, what Reebok used to call the preseason shoe. Again, are these exactly like the originals? I'm gonna say no. However, if you pull up an old Eastbay magazine from 1997, you can see that there are two original colorways, this being one of them, and these actually look almost just like those. Why? Well, because Eastbay used to get a lot of sample shoes, and a lot of times they weren't quite ready for production. There were plenty of sneakers like this. The Air Penny 2 is actually one of them, where there was an Atlantic blue colorway with a white bottom and a pinstriped ankle collar or interior liner, which was not present on the actual release version. Same thing goes here, but when you look at that sample pair that was featured in the catalog, it actually featured this same exact outsole right here, which was a solid black rubber. However, the release version was clear rubber, which I personally prefer. I think that it looks better, but it might also just be because that's how I saw the shoe. So that's my memory. I want them to look like that, not like what's in the magazine, even though it's still cool. However, look a little closer to the tongue of the one in the magazine. That is not on the actual release pair, which I thought was fascinating, because if you switch over to this original ad, you can see the same thing on the black pair, which is cool. I wonder what happened there. But either way, I thought that this shoe was dope, and so if we were gonna look at the bottoms, we've got a turf outsole. It's actually radial, even though it's, you know, nubbed. And again, it's all solid rubber, whereas on the original released version, the exterior portions where it's all black was actually translucent. And this was, again, the preseason shoe. So you would use this for training. You would even use this for turf games. So if you were to look at Emmitt Smith's actual in-game cleats, they look like this, but obviously cleated bottoms. However, they were also known to play on turf surfaces as well. So when that would happen, you would have the actual like retailed versions of the shoe worn by the athlete, whether it was like a Nike turf trainer or a Reebok turf trainer. Now, in addition to the outsole, you can actually see the window right there in the heel. It shows all of that awesome, or what would have been awesome, hexalite, had it been actual hexalite. I'm still like loving the actual look and everything like that, just because when I see this, it just reminds me of the old days, you know what I mean? Shaq and all that stuff. Like Shaq's shoes had this kind of the Preachers, one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever put on my feet. Hideous, but comfortable.
So I was inspecting the shoes. You know, it says hexalite on the sides, and I was thinking that they should like redo that and they should put quotations.
Or at least an asterisk. You know what I mean? Like hexalite.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not hexalite. This is die-cut plastic that's made to look like hexalite.
Or hexalite light.
See, if they would have done something like that where they rebranded it
Yeah.
to where like they give you a marketing reason why it's different, that would have been totally acceptable. It's still but like it would have been acceptable as far as like the consumer consciousness goes. But when you look at this, and if you had an original pair or any original hexalite based version shoe and you see this and you're like, bro, that's not hexalite. Either way, not only was there hexalite featured largely in the heel, but there was also the little pods that you see, very much like the Reebok Question. Back in the day, I always called these the turf version of the Reebok Question because they just look like them to me. Not exactly, but close enough. But anyways, when you move on up, you've got that EVA midsole, and then you have the windows of the hexalite. Again, these are not functional units, even though they would describe them as being one. They were mostly just to show you that hexalite was inside the shoe, and it was just a marketing gimmick or whatever, so that when the shoe was on shelves, you'd see it and you'd be like, whoa, look at all that tech, and then you'd want to try them on. And if you did, you'd know that hexalite was legit. I wouldn't say it was up there with Zoom Air. It was like slightly below it. Zoom Air was a little bit more durable, like the packaging that it was housed in and everything. The Hexalite, like the plastic coating was a little like flimsier, so it would tear easier. But goddamn, was it comfortable, man. Like that crazy. Now, do these feel like the originals? Obviously not, they don't. Even though when you got that big old window down there with a little carve out and stuff, you think that it would be a little bit like squishy back there, but it's not. Again, it's not real Hexalite, so it is what it is. Now, moving on up to the upper, I love this, man. Like, this is like an era that was like long gone, has come back since with like the Yeezy products. But when you see stuff like this, you tend to like, not you personally, but just the community as a whole, they tend to scoff at this. You know what I mean? Like when you go back and you look at the Osiris, the D3 or the 2001 D3s, people are like, nah, man, those are trash. But then there's some like weird hypebeast version that is a knockoff of the shoe that all these celebrities wear, and everybody's like, yeah, that's the one. I'm like, bro, no. Like, why would you like that, but you don't like what they came from? It's just weird. Like when I look at the Yeezy basketball shoe, I see this. Especially the blue ones, I'm just saying. But anyways, the upper is real interesting because this is my first time owning a pair, and so I've always wondered kind of like what the were these made out of, and it's just all synthetic, so nothing spectacular. So all of the blue that you see here is just like a weird, I don't know, what would you call that? It's not like iridescent, but kind of.
It has a shine to it slightly.
Yeah, it's almost like a car paint or something. It's just got enough of a little pop to it to where it's like, oh, that's crazy. The little toe cap, I think, is for one, weird looking, but two, it's cool because it's functional. It's a little rough patch or panel of material, so it's a little bit more rugged, a little bit more durable for turf and for actual like training and things like that. So that's also synthetic. The base layer or the main build or body is actually mesh and textile, even though it doesn't feel like it because this is one sturdy ass shoe, mostly because of this ginormous halo right here that you see on the entire upper. That's part of the EVA, and it's a foot cradle, if you will. So obviously it's for lateral and medial containment. So if you are actually, or were, using these for performance, you'd be good. The lacing system is what they just call a ghillie lacing system. So it's just the nylon straps. When you would go over to say Nike, they would call them speed lacing because they wanted to make it sound fancy. Pretty basic. And then you got the thick mesh tongue. They replicated a lot of this stuff very nicely compared to the original. So like when I look at this, I see the original. Even when I look back at original images, again, they did a great job. Is it perfect and one-to-one? No. But is it very close? Yes. Is it closer than what Jordan Brand gets with their retros? Yes. This is great. Like this is what, come on. If they could recreate this, why can't you recreate the 12s, bruh? Why does the 13s go like this?
Answer me!
Anyways, you got a thick mesh tongue. You also have the Reebok logo in what is supposed to mimic broken glass or shattered glass and stuff like that. You also have that right there on the back, along with Emmitt Smith's 22 number, which is a really cool callback. So in case you were interested in these guys, they do release September 15th. Thank you to Reebok for sending these over. We greatly appreciate it. The retail price is $180. They do fit true to size, so whatever you typically get, that is exactly what I would recommend. And just in case you were wondering about the insole, yes, it's a piece of shit. They're good enough for casual use. If you're gonna try to do anything performance-wise in these, then I would recommend to replace that with something else. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. Let us know what you think about these down below in the comment section. Are you glad that they re-released the shoe? Are you glad that they actually re-released the original sample and not the original version? Or are you like me and you're like, can you please release a pair with the clear bottoms? Please. Sound off below and let us know. Thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one. So until then, have a good one.